hear a lot about the children of narcissistic or toxic parents and how that dynamic is, but what about the partners of those adult children? Like, what about the son-in-law or daughter-in-law that's subjected to the narcissistic abuse, or dealing with emotionally immature in-laws, the enmeshment, or just the overall unhealthy, dysfunctional dynamic of their partner's family of origin? It can be really traumatizing because you experience a lot of gaslighting and manipulation, and some of this may come from your own partner because they're expecting you to just deal with the treatment they've dealt with their entire life in the name of keeping the peace. You may have been casted as the villain from the time they met you because you are viewed as an outsider of their system, which for your mother-in-law or father-in-law or other members of that family makes you a threat to their system. New adult partners who clearly aren't going anywhere means change will be happening, and most dysfunctional families or people who thrive off control do not like change. It can cause you to second guess yourself and feel you aren't good enough. It can have a negative impact on your mental health because you now have to mentally prepare to be around said people, and whenever you are, your body is in fight or flight mode, you experience anxiety, or you just can't wait until you're no longer in the same space. A grief process can also be attached to this dynamic because not only do you not have an ideal, healthy relationship with your in-laws, but your children probably won't have one either. And this is especially true if you and your partner decide to go low or no contact. You may feel robbed of the fantasy you had of your in-laws loving you and you loving them and all the great experiences you could have had. You may feel sadness for your child knowing they have grandparents they won't really know due to the toxicity of said grandparents. You may feel proud of your spouse because for the first time in their life, they're not going for bullshit. They're not going for the mistreatment of their partner or their child. But you also feel sadness for your partner because their parent or family of origin isn't who they need them to be. You may feel frustration, happiness, rage, guilt, sadness, and confusion. You know your feelings are valid, but sometimes you feel they aren't. You live in a society that normalizes this unhealthy experience. You see it depicted on TV, the mother-in-law who hates the daughter-in-law because she's taking the oldest son or only son away from her. It's a mindfuck. It's traumatizing. And the depths of this experience is not talked about enough.
Hey y'all, we are back for another dealing with narcissistic families, okay? So as you guys can see from the comments and the videos, if you have a narcissistic parent, family member, whoever, you are not alone, okay? It's unfortunate, but it seems like a lot of us grew up around narcissists, okay? And narcissists are emotional manipulators, they're gaslighters, they are liars, they are insecure, and overall, they are dangerous people. So I am under the firm belief that once you discover that you are around a narcissist, it's best for you to exit stage left, okay? I personally have cut out every single narcissist out of my life, and I feel much better now. I was having a conversation a few years ago with one of my sisters when I cut my dad off, and she was saying, oh, this is so sad, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, but no, I disagree. Because what was sad was 5-year-old me waiting by the window for a man that never showed up. What was sad was me jumping through hoops after he told me, flat out, if he never saw from me or heard from me or spoke to me again, he wouldn't care. And he was only my dad because God forced him to be. And that was when we were on good terms. What was sad was him choosing all of his women, whether it's his side chicks, or his wife of the day, his woman of the week or whatever, was pitting them before us. Because even I went to go work for him because my dad has a business. And he started cutting my pay, even though he was paying. He said he didn't have money, even though I knew that was a lie. But he started cutting my pay, but was still paying for an entire dinner for his girlfriend and all of her friends and this private dinner. I was there, and it was bottomless drinks. It was a private room in this private restaurant. We literally had an entire room in a restaurant to ourselves. And all her friends came. The room was packed, and he paid for it. Also, my sister's 16th birthday came up. He paid for her and all of her friends, similar thing. And then got her a Louis Vuitton bag that cost more than my salary, and still took money out of my pocket to feed other people. So that's why I will never speak to him again. On to the next one.
Your wounded, divine masculine father and your narcissist mother had you, and now you have been chosen to break a generational curse. Now, hate to break it to you, but a lot of you guys' moms, your mom got hijacked a long time ago. That is not your mom. She's been taken over by the Jezebel spirit. And then your dad, he just kind of gave up along the way. He might come across as narcissistic, but somewhere along his path, he had to just turn his emotions off. And these two people found each other, had you, and a dysfunction ensued. And that dysfunction carried over to your relationships. So you're probably out here looking for another emotional, unavailable partner or a narcissistic partner. And that's only because you thought that that's what love actually looked like. And can you blame you? You only had this to go for reference. And that's why when people were actually trying to love you, you didn't want that. That was boring. So you just kept attracting like these toxic partners. But something happened along your journey where you're like, let me figure this out. Let me start doing shadow work. You went to therapy. You started journaling. You started meditating. You started doing something and you were able to see that, no, this is dysfunctional. I have to go work on myself. And when you started to do that, you were activated, you were chosen to be a generational curse breaker. And with that, it's not going to be easy. You get labeled the black sheep in your family when you are out here trying to break the generational traumas that has came, because this hasn't just been with you. This has happened generations and generations before your parents. And that's why it has been passed down, because none of your previous generations were really putting in the work on themselves. And that's only because working on yourself is very hard. Taking accountability is very hard. But you weren't put here to repeat the generational curse. You were put here to break it. And that's why your life might be a little bit more hard. That's why you might be a late bloomer. And that's why you might want to give up. But I'm telling you, keep pushing, keep doing the work, and you will get blessed. You will get blessed with abundance, and you will get blessed with a divine partner, someone that has done the work, and you guys can become a divine union.
Sometimes it'd be hard to wrap my head around that I was such a sheltered child. Like, my narcissistic mother always kept me in the house. I wasn't really allowed to go to nobody's house. She said that it was for my protection, but I now know that's a lie. She just wanted control over me. But anyways, I be finding it crazy that I was so sheltered, yet my whole life I was being sexually assaulted. Most times by family members. My whole family is narcissistic, so it was a lot of those. The times that I did go over family house, something happened every time. All the other times, my mama would allow my brother's basketball or football teammates to come over, and they would do things to me. But to think that I didn't do nothing, but so much happened, it's crazy. You think by being so sheltered, you actually are protected. But the lack of protection from the adults that were around me, insane. Each time I told my mama about what happened to me, she had like no emotions, no feelings, no empathy. And narcissists do lack empathy. There was one time I told my mama about my brother teammate touching me, and she started screaming at the top of her lungs like I was the one that did something wrong. Absolutely insane. And people low-key starting to piss me off by telling me, you need to stay off her talking about your mom, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to protect her image, but I don't give a fuck. I'm bringing awareness to things that need to be talked about. I refuse to be silenced. If you don't like it, don't look, bitch. Have a great one.
So apparently my mother is taking me to court for defamation of character. Fuck it. Here we go. Basically, y'all know how I let y'all know I was no contact with my mom just because she's toxic. We have a toxic, it's just not good. My sister, my nephew's mom, had been letting my mom get very involved with being active with my nephew's AAU. Mind you, my nephew has been playing since he was 5. Now that he's almost at the college level, or getting ready to go to high school rather, my mom all of a sudden wants to be involved. She's the type of person, in my humble opinion, based on my experience, that if it's not anything that she can brag about or that she can get credit for, she don't want nothing to do with it. Because if she did, she would have been involved all this time. And all of a sudden, she wants to be the person, oh, my grandma paid for this. My grandma took me here. My grandma stayed on top of my grades. You're supposed to do that as a grandparent. I'm telling my sister, This is not a good idea because I'm slowly seeing the progression. I don't even talk to my mom, but I'm hearing from other siblings, Mama called and told me about this, or Mama said that, or man, but Mama saying she's not doing this, she's not doing that. And I'm telling them, this girl has been involved with this boy since he was 5 in this AAU. Now all of a sudden, she's lacking as a parent when Mama's getting involved. So my mom's the type of person, when she's into it with one of us, she tries to rally all the other siblings with her against that, sibling. But we've gotten older, we realized that's what she does. And she would do it by getting in one's ear about something, then saying something else to the other one. We've matured. We're not dealing with it. She tried to text my sister in Texas about the situation. My sister in Texas said, I don't want nothing to do with that. Like, that's between y'all. Y'all have been going back and forth for 15 years. You need to figure it out. So then she calls my sister 3 o'clock in the morning. My sister wasn't going to answer, but she's like, let me answer because it could be an emergency because I know Mom wouldn't call me this late. My mom calls her crying belligerently, saying that my nephew was in danger. And my sister in Texas, who she called, knew it was some bullshit because my sister, the one, whose son is the center of all of this, she has another son. They all stay in the same house. She raises her kids. So my sister's like, how was one in danger but not the next? She skipped past all of that and immediately got to talking about their argument. You don't do no shit like that. So my sister in Texas tells her, look, you guys have been going through this for 15 years. I want peace. You deal with it. Me and her already know contact. Y'all, do you know she had the nerve to call my phone 3 times? I said, and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I looked at that phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, it did not answer. Went back to sleep, wake up to 11 text messages. All of them long screenshots. I didn't read none of that shit. This don't got nothing to do with me. I told her, Mom, these things are not good for my mental health. I've dealt with these issues with you in the past. This is why I chose not to go, no contact with you. I'm in a very good place. Life is working out for me. I ask that you respect my boundaries. The door is always open if she's willing to get herself together and go get her some mental help. But until she does that, you will not damage my adulthood like you did my childhood. So mind you, the whole time I'm saying I ain't got nothing to do with this. So my niece, my other sister's daughter, I got a lot of brothers and sisters, y'all. She graduates from elementary to middle school. All of us were there. Mom was there. I was so triggered because I came in with a positive attitude. We're no contact, but if I see you, we can speak. We can be friendly for the babies. She had the nastiest disposition. And it's one thing to go through it when we already don't talk and see each other, like, doing this text and phone call stuff. But it was just another thing to experience it in person. It just really like, wow, this is really how this woman is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I romanticized thinking like maybe if she saw us in person, she kind of like, I don't know. But anyways, I'm finna get upset about it. It just was a weird interaction. Y'all want to know what she said? She called my other sister like, what did they say about me? Like, she was excited. My sister said, nobody said anything about you. Girl, because this is not normal. None of us really want this shit to be how it is. Like, you just won't change. Fast forward, her and my sister, I guess they had a conversation. They're trying to reconcile. I just let people focus on their own relationships. I understand that's our mom. You handle things different than I do. But she's convinced herself that I was brainwashing my sister. Y'all heard all this stuff she done did. I'm still some kind of way the villain here. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. That's what makes it so funny to me because I'm just like, she blocked my sister in Texas because she didn't want no involvement. So now my sister blocked her. She's just like, I'm done with it. She's no contact. I'm no contact. Now we're getting up into the lawsuit part. So my sister is very close with one of her exes. They're like really cool. My mom is his friend on Facebook. Why? I don't know, because she couldn't stand him. But apparently he made a status about some new movie that came out. My mom commented on the status and said he needs to work through his mommy and daddy issues. Y'all, somebody gagged her. Somebody commented on my mom's status and was like, your kids don't even like you. So this is the pot calling the kettle black. That baby was pissed. Now, mind you, when her and my sister were into it, my sister was writing, she wouldn't say anything directly, but little subliminals talking shit, read between the lines. This is my sister's ex-boyfriend's page. She's convinced herself that the girl got the information from my TikTok rather than the probability being 70% that she got it from what she saw. She sent a message saying that she has contacted her lawyers and that I have by tomorrow to take down my videos, or she is taking me to court for defamation of character. I don't know who the fuck that she thought she was talking to, but if you finna take me to court for defamation of character, the only way that would be admissible in court is if, number one, the statements that I had said had caused you some type of financial loss or ruined your reputation in some type of way. You have to take some type of loss, number one. Number two, the statement has to be false. I didn't lie on you. I didn't even say your name. Nothing I said was false. I told the truth. You did this stuff. And if y'all remember the video I posted, I even protected her. I didn't tell the realty if you have dealt with the type of parent that I have, where you have all these millions of conversations where you think it's a reconciliation, but they never change their behavior. They're steady causing shit and problems between you and your other siblings. They tell your personal business to people out in the community and it comes back to you. If you choose to get on any platform, or even if you choose to speak up and tell somebody about what you went through, you're not wrong. You're not a villain. You are not nobody's victim. Don't let anybody villainize you or victimize you. And to my mama, if you see this, I'm not taking this shit down. See you in court.
Let me tell you what your silence does to the narcissist. There is a reason why whenever you hear narcissist or narcissism, you hear no contact. There is a powerful reason for that. No contact is a powerful tool against the narcissist. Your silence is a powerful weapon against the narcissist. A lot of you hear about narcissism and you hear no contact and you don't really know what that means. Let me break it down for you and tell you how much more powerful you are than that narcissist, and also tell you how much more powerful you can be if you use the tool of silence and no contact. See, the narcissist functions in dysfunction. I've said that here over and over. The narcissist functions in chaos. The narcissist is not a normal person. They're not like you and I. So when you fight the narcissist, when you choose to argue with them, when you choose to engage with them, you're not just engaging with a demon who has sold his soul to the devil. You're also dealing with a lot of different spirits. And one of those are the spirit of Jezebel. You are dealing with a demonic entity. You are dealing with a lot of demons in one vessel. You cannot fight this person in regular human form and win. Your silence and your cry to God in silence is your tool. That is your most powerful tool. So if you have written that long paragraph to send to that person, delete it. The long email, delete it. When you go tit for tat with the narcissist, remember I told you guys that narcissists, they are like children. They stop developing at a very, very young age in their life when they became narcissistic. That is when they sold their souls to the devil. And that is why a lot of times when you interact with a narcissist, it's almost like you're talking to a child. They have no ability to reason. They are very impulsive. They are very tit for tat. They're very childish. They throw temper tantrums. They want things to go their way. They're entitled. Just anything that an innocent child, and I hate that I have to compare a child with these demons, but that's kind of what you're dealing with. Especially for the child, only in the sense that they're children. They don't know what they're doing. Versus the narcissist, they act like children, but they know exactly what they're doing. These are demons. These people sold themselves and their souls to the devil a long, long time ago. Narcissist wants to be seen, heard, and perceived as very, very important. They want to be seen as the most important person in your life. The narcissist used to tell me that he is my God on earth. They literally will compare themselves to God. They will get jealous if you start to pay attention to God and pray to God. They will get jealous for that. They are jealous of God. That's how deep and dark these people are. So if you think you're fighting a person, if you think you're fighting a human, you already lost that fight. You lost that fight. There is no fight against the narcissist in normal human flesh that you're going to win, because you're not dealing with a human. So there is power in your silence. There is power in no contact. These people are confabulators. They are fabricators. They are pathological liars. So they're going to lie on your name. They're going to create stories. They're going to fabricate horrible, horrible stories. They're going to rewrite history. Everything that happened, they're going to take it and flip it upside down. Some of the stories you're going to hear, you're going to be so shocked. You're going to be so mad. You're going to be so angry. You want to call them. You want to email them. You want to do this. You want to defend yourself. You want to do all of this. That is a lost battle for you. The only way to win at this game with the narcissist is to go completely mute. Go completely no contact. Go completely silent. Doesn't matter who calls you and says the narcissist says this. Block them. Those people are not your friends. Doesn't matter what rumors they spread about you on the internet. Stay quiet. You know what I did? I created, again, a lot of us went through this so that we can be in the position to share our stories with you all so you don't have to go through it. So I hope and pray that I'm not sitting in my car and making these videos that are falling on deaf ears. I hope and pray that you're listening to these things and taking pointers. Because the narcissist is a cruel person. When you deal with these people and you don't have the proper weapons and just guidance to deal with them, you suffer. You will suffer. Dealing with a narcissist is a life-changing experience. Dealing with these people literally causes brain damage for their victim, especially depending on how long you were exposed to them. So this is not a joke. So what I did was, when I left the narcissist, I was broken. I didn't know anything about narcissism. I didn't know what I was dealing with at that time. God sent special people in my life. Special people in my life that literally held my hands to walk me through this. And that is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about basically giving back when it comes to this situation. Because it took someone who held my hands, two people who really, really held my hands and told me everything I needed to know about narcissism, and told me how I needed to act, things I needed to do, and I listened to them. And that's how I was able to get out. That's how I was able to survive. That's how I was able to go no contact. That's how I was able to ignore everything. I always tell you guys, there are multiple videos all over the internet of me and this person arguing, fighting, with no contact whatsoever. Reactive abuse. These are videos they filmed. These are recordings they filmed while we were together, when I didn't know that they were going to use it against me. So I didn't use no contact. I didn't use silence. I fought back. And that came back to bite me later. These videos have been posted for the last 2.5 years all over social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and here on TikTok. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them. What you don't see in those videos is what caused the arguments. What you don't see in those videos is their reaction or action. What you see is my reaction. What you see is what the narcissist perfectly orchestrated to prove a point. So I'm telling you, as a victim of that, your silence is very, very powerful. Once I went no contact, once I started to use the powerful tool of silence, the narcissist completely spiraled out of control. They lost their minds. You could see them break down on the same internet that they try to destroy me on. You could see them lose it. They became obsessed. They became very, very obsessed and angry. Why? I went silent. Nothing they did bothered me anymore. Nothing they said bothered me. I continue to grow. I continue to work on myself. I continue to have peace. I continue to create new relationships with people. I continue to go back to my old relationships, the healthy ones, of course. And that is what the narcissist hates more than anything. Your silence is powerful. Your silence tells the narcissist that they are irrelevant. And the narcissist hates being irrelevant. They hate not having attention. They hate being ignored. But when you go silent, when you go no contact, you're not even doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. But it hurts them. Use your power of no contact. Use your power of silence. This is the only way you can fight back. Cry unto God. If you're feeling down, if the rumors are hurting you, if the lies are hurting you, cry to God in silence. Don't fight this person back. Delete the paragraph, delete the email, delete the post, delete the video, delete all of that. Go completely silent and see what happens. Follow for more.
And I'm going to be real. I think a lot of people of my generation and younger are choosing not to have children because we know what we went through. You know, even when there wasn't narcissism and things like that, there was unnecessary traumas and struggles that I know had both my parents, had they healed before having me, I know I wouldn't have had the same level of stress, trauma, nonsense that I experienced in my life. Now, am I who I am because of all of that? Absolutely. And though, people say, would you go through it again to be where you are? I would have to consider that. I would have to see what would be the option if I grew up in a healthy system. Okay? Because I feel like it's so easy to pass on your traumas to your children, especially when you're not aware of it. And personally, I always told myself that before, if I even ever had children, I wanted to be a whole person before I brought any children into this world. Because as much as people say children are a blessing, which I agree, because I have a whole business and help children stay safe, children are a responsibility because you are literally cultivating and creating an entire human being. And a lot of these parents have raised us to believe like their happiness relies on you or their satisfaction relies on you. No, you have to make your own self happy. They have to make their own self happy. And a lot of people's parents put these unnecessary expectations on them because they want to live through their kids. There are also people who only have children because they think that someone will take care of them when they're older. Newsflash, there are a lot of older people who have been forgotten, okay? So just because you have children, it does not mean that they're going to take care of you when you get older. Especially if you treated your child horribly their whole life, I would hope you would have another method of someone taking care of you. Because now that you would be the one in the vulnerable position, you would be the one who would need the taken care of. And you're older, if you were abusive, you have to, I think, know that your child is probably going to, get you back for all the nonsense that you did. And for me, it's better to just leave people than to be on resentment and punishment. I used to be someone who was toxic, and I felt like I would let people disrespect me to respect me, and then I would blow up because I didn't want to cause an argument or things because I grew up around a lot of yelling, and I hate yelling. I think it's the most ineffective, immature method of communication. And I will tell that to anybody. Everybody around me, even the people that yell, they know that I hate that yelling stuff, and I don't listen when people are yelling. As soon as your voice raises, I tune you out, and I no longer care about anything you're saying because now I feel like you're disrespecting me, period. So, I just think it's like it's all fun and games when you're being disrespectful, but as soon as you boss up on somebody, then they don't know how to act. Like I had a relative whose mom was putting the paws on her. I found out from another relative because I went to visit. This particular relative was like, yo, mind you, this is a child. I'm going to say cousin. It wasn't a cousin, but I'll just say cousin for the simplicity. So let's say my uncle told me that my cousin's mom was putting the paws on her, right? To the point where she sent her to the emergency room and she had a concussion and a sprained neck because of how viciously her mother was attacking her. So once I found this out, people don't just tell me stuff and think that I'm just going to leave it alone. So I pull up on my, I'm just going to say my cousin. I pull up on my little cousin because she's there. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? I took her to the room. We had a private conversation. So I start asking her questions. And I'm like, do you think, mind you, this is a child, okay? I'm like, do you think it's okay for someone to put their hands on you? I said it much, when you talk to children, I said it more fluidly than that. But she's like, yeah, it's okay. I was like, so even if you don't do anything wrong, you think it's okay for someone to put their hands on you and hit you? She was like, yeah, da-da-da-da, because that's what she's used to. She's growing up around someone who's laying smack down on her. So I just said, I forgot the details, but I basically said, that's not okay. It's not acceptable. No matter who it is, nobody should just be putting the paws on you for no reason. So then I go back to, this was when I was living in Atlanta. So I go back to Atlanta, and then I get a few days later, not even a few weeks, a few days later, I get a call from my uncle relative, right? And so he goes, yo, Yana, what did you say to her? I was like, what? He's like, yo, she knocked her mama out. And I bust out laughing. And I said, wait, what? What? Say it again. He's like, yeah. Here, her mama tried it again. Her mama put the paws on her again. But this time she fought back. And you know what? That was the last time that her greasy-headed mama put the paws on her again. And then her greasy-headed mama's family was talking about she's the child is bad. Why would she fight her mama back? I'm like, why would her mama put her in a concussion? So, some people, it's all okay until you get up and say, oh, no way, honey. But here's the thing. Nobody has the right to put their hands on you, period. So once I got in my cousin's ear, all of a sudden she knew her value and she put the paws back on her greasy faced mama because they're about the same size. There's no reason why you should be hitting a child, period. And putting them a concussion. You're attacking your daughter so badly that she has a concussion and a sprained neck. CPS should have been called. And you know what? I did call the court system, and they told me that her other parent needed to call, and they were even upset. Like, why the heck are you the one calling when she has a whole dad? Why are you calling us? He needs to be calling us. So I don't like that system either, because I don't care who calls. A sprained neck is a sprained neck, period. But she put the paws right back on her greasy-headed mama, and then her mama effed around and found out. That's what a lot of y'all parents need. I'm not saying to be violent. I'm not saying to do anything like that. But what I am saying is sometimes people have to F around and find the F out, or they will keep attacking you. Period. That turn the other cheek stuff is some BS. Why? Turn the other cheek so you can slap me on both sides equally? No, I don't think so. If I'm going to turn the other cheek, it's because I'm round enough to give you a left hook across the jaw, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I don't fight physically. I'm not a physical fighter. I don't believe in fighting or putting hands on people unless it's absolutely necessary to defend yourself or the honor of someone else. But I don't believe in fist fighting. But at the end of the day, if a child's mom is hurting her to the point where she has to get a concussion and get a sprained neck, oh no. In that situation, it's gloves are off. So I was so proud. I never even mentioned it to my cousin. I just let it go. And then my relative told me, like, her mama came in the room, bust down the door, tried to attack her. And apparently she kicked her in the stomach and like mollywopped and went to ham on her. Because at some point you have to realize, I don't want to be abused, period. And I guess I was the first and only person who told that little girl that it's not okay for someone to hit you, period. And I'm very proud of that fact, period. All right, I'll see you on the, let's keep going.
That narc hates you because you got away and that you're standing 10 toes down on your healing and that you were only focused on yourself. They were not done with you. They still had a couple of little manipulating tactics to go, bro. But you said, hell no. Nope. That was the last time you walking around with your nervous system in knots, can't sleep at night, you're tossing and turning, you are completely done with them. You may have your moments where you try to go back to the illusion, but nah, you are healing and you have self-love. All right, so let's heal.
Weeks. I had 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and I got it done.
You weren't looking at being homeless.
You were.
Yes.
I got it done in 2 weeks to prevent you from being homeless. And what do I get? Almost a $10,000 fine from the city for your hoarding in the backyard. A fucking fire.
Oh, that came from people off the tracks, and kiddo, I'm so sorry. Let me clean it up.
It's too late. It's too late.
I was getting at it. I got at it last night. I've already started.
I'm done with it. I'm done with cleaning up.
No,
I got everything away from the house. That's all that needed to be done.
No, that whole yard needs to be cleaned up, and that's what I was going to do.
Where's the stuff going to go?
I got a ways.
It can't go up against the house.
Ways. My neighbor, Paulie. He's a good guy.
He doesn't want your crap either.
He'll hide it for me for a while. I'm going to do, once the insurance goes through, I'm going to do his siding for nothing. And
there is no insurance, Dad.
I thought that's what the insurance adjuster was here for.
I would have had to owe them $1,000. I'm not doing that.
Take it from me. Take it out of me.
With what money? You have no money.
Look, take every dime I have. I don't care. Just let me try and get this taken care of without paying someone $200 a freaking hour. I got a couple of friends coming over.
It's too late.
Please just give me a couple weeks just to give me
March
a chance.
31st, you have over a month.
To do what? To move? I ain't got nowhere to go, kiddo.
To figure it out.
I'm going to try and buy it my damn self.
Then you have until March 31st.
You kick your own dad out on the street. I'll get it cleaned up. Please, just give me that chance. You can work with me.
No, go back inside. There is no point.
I don't expect you to.
There is no point for you to be out here and do everything. I did everything already.
No.
I got everything cleared from the house.
There's so much to do. There isn't, somebody's not just going to come in. If it's going to be those two same guys you had here the last time, I could run circles around them, and I'm 60 years old.
Really? Because it's taken you 3 years. It's going to take them 2 days.
It's because...
It's going to take them 2 days.
Becky, bullshit.
Hey beauties, so by now I'm pretty sure you guys seen the viral video of the mother cutting her daughter's hair off for punishment. So I don't want to make this video too long. I know we're all really busy, but what I do want to say is I'm incredibly disappointed with all of these videos of these parents coming out almost doing like a humiliation ritual on their children. Now, I understand as a parent, sometimes you have to put your foot down and teach your children right from wrong. But with that still being said, it is so disgusting the way that some people do it. In my opinion, humiliating your children in front of the world isn't going to teach them everything that they need to know in the long run. It might scare them for a little bit, but do some of y'all ever even think for a second how this is going to affect them later on down the line? Keep in mind how cruel some people can be in school. So when you send your kids to school, they're going to be bullied by everyone because of what you did. Not just that, you can look at these children or these teenagers in the videos and see that even though they're sitting by their parent, or they're agreeing with their parent, you can see in their eyes that they are numb and they are tired and they are in pain. What's truly so sickening and sad to me is I feel like so many people think just because they are a parent, they can control their children, they can manipulate their children, and they can treat their children any type of way just because they're a parent. It's like they were abused as children, like they got treated so poorly, but because they were not able to break the cycles and change, they project the same hardships that they endured on their children and then say, oh, well, that's how I learned, or that's how I was taught, or I tried my best not to be that parent, but it happened. So break the cycles and stop the patterns. And another thing that sends me is we are in the era of people saying, I'm sorry, I'm toxic, I act like this because I grew up this way, I ruined my ex-relationships or my ex-friendships, I'm not perfect, I don't have it all figured out. And it is so good that a lot of people take accountability for their actions and own up to it. But if we don't have it all figured out in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, why do so many people think that a child Like literally someone who is anywhere from 1 to 15 years old is supposed to have it all figured out. Like, are we thinking about that? And then I think to myself, this is also why we're in the era of people saying, I cut off my narc parent. I don't talk to my mother. I don't talk to my father because I was brutalized. I was mistreated. And my parents were my first abusers. Y'all, I think I gotta do a part 2.
Covert narcissists do not experience love the way that we do. For example, that's why a lot of covert narcissists are really, really great with kids like under the age of 4-ish, because little kids fucking love their moms. It doesn't matter if she's a piece of shit. It doesn't matter if she's a drug addict. It doesn't matter if she's mean. It doesn't matter. Babies are wired to love their mothers and rely on them and want them and all of that. The covert narcissistic mother views that as love. Your reflection of her is her sense of self. So that's the love she feels for you, is the love you give her reflected back, if that makes sense, because she can't create her own loving feelings, right? And they see that love reflected back as a commodity. So that's why when they see grandpa holding the baby, for instance, and they see baby smiling at grandpa and so happy and cooing and giggling, they're not happy for baby because they don't have love created for that baby. They only feel the love reflected back to them from that baby. So it's like the baby is giving away my love. That's how they feel, right? It's a supply, narcissistic supply. It's a commodity. Remember that. This is why once kids hit the age of 4 or 5, a lot of covert narcissistic mothers start to become abusive, right? They start to isolate the child. They start to manipulate the child. If they see that the kid is connecting with someone else, they get jealous and they shut it down, right? They start, oh, Mrs. So-and-so, yeah, she's not all that great. Yeah, did you hear what she said about you? Oh, do you not love your mom anymore? Oh, am I not important to you anymore? Oh, I guess you'd rather be with them than with me. Oh, are you going to abandon me to go with your friends? And this manipulative and shaming behavior and guilt tripping just gets worse and worse and worse and worse as the child gets older. Right, so when the covert narcissist sees that you're growing and maturing and do the things that kids do, right? You grow up, your social circle gets bigger, your ideas become more your own, you have your own opinions and thoughts. When you start to question them, that becomes a threat to their supply. You are no longer reflecting back the love to them, unquestioning love. So it almost is like they don't want love, they want worship, unearned reputation, right? So they want to be seen as a wonderful mother, loving, kind, all of these things, but they don't have the skills, tools, want, or desire to actually be that. They just want to get the reward for it. The reward for being a wonderful mother is having children who love and admire you, treat you nicely, and hug you and care about you and say great things about you and all those wonderful things. But they don't have that part in them that allows them to feel love in that way, to give it to you, so that you see what I'm saying. And so it becomes this maladaptive behavior for them to get their needs met by manipulating and guilting and shaming. So a narcissistic mother might treat her children like they're younger than they are because of this, right? So, no, you're not old enough to go out with your friends. No, you're not old enough to drive. No, you're not old enough to do X, Y, and Z, even though you are age appropriate for that. It's because they want to keep you young. They want to protect that supply, right? They want to keep you young until it's too much work for you being young. And then they want to make you the parent. But that's another whole other aspect that we can get into. But that's basically the idea of how do narcissists feel love. They feel it as a reflection of how you feel about them. They see it as a commodity to be taken. It has a finite supply. So there's a limited supply of love that you give, that you reflect back onto them or other people. So they need to get rid of the other people. They need to get rid of all of that so that all of it goes onto them, so that they can feel important, valued, and whole. This is also why when you start drawing boundaries and you start basically saying, listen, if you are going to treat me like shit, you are not allowed to be in my life. If you are going to disrespect me, if you're going to abuse me, if you're not going to take accountability, you are not allowed in my life, right? That's why when you draw that line in the sand, it's over, because they can't manipulate you anymore, and that's the only way they know how to get their needs met. So the only other option would be to self-reflect, go to therapy, heal, do all of that work. And if they weren't willing to put in the work to genuinely love a baby, they ain't putting in the work to genuinely love your adult ass. So don't feel bad for walking away. You're doing the right thing.
The main thing that irks me about having a covert narcissist for a mother is the fact that everything that they do is very much passive aggressive. Like, it's never just straightforward, in your face, you know, saying how they really genuinely feel. It's never that. It's always just little snide remarks and just little passive aggressive things that would be mentally or emotionally harmful to you. And the thing about it is that when I'm trying to explain it to somebody else, like, I always feel like I have to over explain what took place between me and her so that they understand the significance, because more times than not, the scars that are left are internal. It's not external. So people don't see it as a real thing, I guess. But the thing about it is that she be knowing the significance. She be knowing the significance of what she be saying and what she be knowing. Like, you created the significance. Like, but if I were to go off, then, you know, I'm being aggressive and I come off as the villain because I'm the one that's just gonna say it with my fucking chest. I'm not the one that's hiding behind little snide remarks and shit like that. That shit really do be irking the hell out of me. Like, that's why, yeah, if you are around a covert narcissist, I don't give a fuck what created the narcissist. It's not your fucking problem. It's not your job to heal them. Leave them in the dust, bro, because fucking insufferable.
If your parent has ever said anything like this to you, you have been a victim of emotional coercion. Emotional coercion is something that happens when you have an emotionally immature parent who cannot stand in the fact that they did you wrong. You and your sister went to her like normal adults and said, hey, things were not perfect. This is how I experienced you. And her response was to call everybody but you and say, I'm going to off myself. So let's talk about why they do it, and let's talk about why it's effective. When you air grievance with a person, with a narcissist namely, and you say this bothered me, and they fly all off the deep end and say, well, I'm going to kill myself and I don't want to be here anymore, it immediately stops the conversation. This is why it works, because you go from being concerned about yourself and your sister to not wanting her to die. The adult children feel guilty and the parent feels like the victim. It shifts the conversation immediately. So where you're talking about how you have felt victimized by her, she comes in with her suicidal ideations. And even if they're true, this is still coercion. Even if she does feel like that, this is still coercive behavior, because it makes you not want to go any further. Other coercive statements that parents use is, oh, I guess I'm just a terrible mother, when you try to air grievances with them. Oh, I guess I just didn't do anything right. I'm sorry I gave you such a horrible life, and on. Unfortunately, the coercive behavior that she's displaying right now is meant to trigger you back into who you were when you were a child. Quiet, stifled, ashamed, and scared to communicate your emotions because you didn't know how another person's emotional response would be to your pain. As a matter of fact, many of us have learned to cope in silence because we don't want to manage another person's emotions surrounding what we feel. This is very dangerous, and I would call her on it. You will not manipulate me with your emotions anymore. Now, do you want to talk about this, or would you like to go no contact with me? Sometimes you really have to be very cut and dry because you need to save your life. If you show her any slice of grace or empathy, she will use it to play in your fucking face. Self-protect. Stand up to her. Don't allow her to get away with this bullshit. Call her bluff.
One thing I want you all to remember is that the narcissist lives their lives as a show.
Everything they do is pretending. They lie, they pretend, and they try to manipulate, okay? So that narcissist might be living this whole new lifestyle. It's all fake. It's all for the gram. It's all fake. A lot of you are probably down and you're like, oh, he's doing everything he said he was going to do. He's doing everything he never did for me for the new supply. He's taking her on vacation, blah, blah, blah. There's a chance the new supply is paying for that vacation. And never done that. There's a chance every glitz and glam you see, because you know the narcissists, you know they're usually dusties. They have nothing going on. And one thing I want you to remember about the narcissists as well, they cannot stand on their own. A lot of people are confused as to why does the narcissist move on so fast. They move on so fast because they cannot stand on their own, especially the male narcissist. They cannot stand on their own. They need a woman to build them, whether it's a short period of time or a long period of time. They need a woman to build them, and then they'll take that credit. Because what do people think when they see a man and a woman doing good, starting a business, building a house, buying a car? They automatically think it's the man. That's our society. Don't ask me. Go argue with your grand auntie, okay? Everybody thinks it's the narcissist, the man, when most times, especially in today's society, is the woman. Women are doing bigger and better things today. Like, we have so much more power. Financially, educationally, emotionally, we have so much more power, and we're doing these things. The reason the narcissist will hop from here to here to here in a split second is because as strong as they want you to think they are, as confident and as innovative and smart and educated as they want you to think they are, they're not. They're weak losers who depend on other people to build themselves. So the new supply is usually the one doing all of that stuff that you see behind closed doors. And what they do is they'll manipulate the new supply by hanging the old supply over her head and telling her, basically turning her into a pick-me. Oh, my ex used to do this, she used to do that, and I would never do this for her. I would never do that, and she used to complain, blah, blah, blah. Now, Miss Pygmisha over here trying to prove that she's strong and she's not the ex, she can do this, she can do that. And in turn, the narcissist is gaining what they want. They cannot stand on their own. That is why they hop. They always look for a new victim really, really quick, and usually that new victim is going through something, some kind of trauma. The cycle repeats itself. Usually the new victim is going through something and it's vulnerable at that moment. I talk about this a lot. But the new victim has something, some kind of assets, okay? They're not going internet official, IG official, Instagram official, YouTube, nothing official if they don't have something. There is something that they can gain from you. So they will make sure to let the world know that this is my supply and every asset that she has is mine, free of charge. And then they'll also manipulate that new supply into thinking that she has to compete with the old supply and be better. So they'll say negative things about the old supply so that the new supply can feel picked. But trust me, anybody who's been with a narcissist, when you escape that, you never, ever, ever want to go back because you know them. You know them. There's a saying that says, somebody here said it on TikTok, it's not going to hurt me to see you move on because I know you know who I am, but it's going to hurt you when I move on because you know that we both know who I am. You were always the flex. You are the bars. You are the standards. You are everything. And the reason those suckers move on so fast is because they're weak. They're dusty. They have no visions of their own, no minds of their own. They know how to talk a sweet talk. They know how to sell you a dream, but they will deliver a nightmare. And to deliver that nightmare, they need coordinating victims. They need cooperating victims, and usually it's the new supply who thinks she's been picked. Pygmisha, your turn is coming, okay? So be smart, look out, because what's about to hit you, they will never, especially if that old supply is a grade A supply for them, they're never forgetting about that person. They're just using the other people to further gain leverage, because again, they will not and cannot stay on their own. You know how people break up and say, oh, I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to unlearn some of the things I learned. I'm going to heal. No, the narcissist in their head, I'm not sick, so I don't need to heal. So they move on to the next person. Two reasons for that is because they're empty on the inside. They always need validation from people. But the main reason is that they cannot stand on their own. They cannot. If you see narcissistic people in high position, that is because they stepped on other people to be in that position. And for men, for male narcissists, it is on the back of every woman they've been on. When they get with this person, they steal and drain something out of you. They go to the next person, steal and drain. Next person, steal and drain. To the point where they're up here and all of their victims, when they leave their victims, the victims are trying to survive. Like literally, they feel like they just got ran over by something. That's how the narcissist operates, y'all. So yeah, if you ever wonder why do they move on so fast, it's because they're weak. They cannot do it on their own. They can't stand on their own. So they need that cult-like support, which is usually from the new supply, because they have made the person feel chosen and picked. And to pick Misha over there thinking that she's the chosen one. And yeah, keep an eye out for that. Anyway, if you have experienced this, go ahead and comment down below. If you like contents like these, follow the page, subscribe, and leave your comments down below. You can also book a one-on-one call with me. The link is in my bio. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Y'all want to see what real weaponized incompetence looks like? Me and my mom haven't been home for 3 days. I haven't been home for longer, but he was left to his own for 3 whole days, and that's it. This is the state of our kitchen and dining room. This is the most tame of it. It's his computer just left open, but this is his mess specifically all there. Then we get over here. Of course, you can't take out the recycling. This has been there for days. This is just something that needs recycled. All his beer and stuff. More beer. Left out ranch, or blue cheese, great, that's really ruined. That's been out for at least overnight. This is left open. That is because he refuses to do the dishes, so he has run out of silverware. Let me show you. This is like big stuff. But yeah, out of silverware, that's our silverware. Just spoons only. Then this paper towel roll he won't replace. My mom says to just leave it, so he has to clean it all up. Because I have a theory he left this ginormous mess to punish us for not being home with him for days. So I think he did this intentionally to try to make us have to clean up after him. We will not be doing that. This is crazy work. This is the only thing that was my mom's. The rest of it is all his. It starts with the water bottles and the beer cans, but this is what happens when you leave them alone in the house to their own devices. So pick your partners wisely, people.
It's the weaponized incompetence for me. Okay, I don't have nothing else to say on this. It's the weaponized incompetence. Okay, and it doesn't make any sense. How in the entire world is this the state of the house? I would have to leave. That's it. And you know what? There are so many red flags before this happens. But my thing is, once you discover that there is red flags on somebody, leave. Leave, because this is ridiculous. Look at this mess. Oh yeah, I would be, me and my baby, we gonna be all right. We gonna live a good life. Young honey about to roll out. I would be gone so freaking quickly. And you know what I would have done? As petty as I am, because I am Petty LaBelle, I would have made the mess even worse. I would have taken all his clothes, threw them outside. Outside, you want to cause a mess? Let's see how messy mess can get. There would be no way in God's green earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars, that this would be acceptable. Sometimes, like my mom said, you have to out crazy people. And I feel like this is a test. You want to leave this mess? I would throw all of this stuff on his clothes. All the food, I would rub it into his white. I would put the white tomato paste, rub it in his shirt. Because at the end of the day, this is not okay. This type of behavior is not okay. And I'm sure there are red flags before this. But when you allow mistreatment, when you allow disrespect, you get more of it. Whatever you allow, you tolerate, you increase. Okay? This is totally unacceptable. The weaponized incompetence is ridiculous. Disgusting.
I remember when Frank Ocean's Thinking About You had first came out, and I had like did my own version of it with a different beat, and I kind of like changed the flow of it to fit my voice. I showed my mom thinking she would be proud of me, but she was like, "Are you sure you did that yourself? You didn't copy nobody? You made that yourself?" And then like ever since that moment, I really realized like, damn, like that's why I be scared to be creative, because that memory never really left my brain. It's like, damn, you couldn't tell me like you sound good or that was amazing or anything like that, or I'm proud of you or whatever, or you're talented. It was, oh, I don't believe that you could do something that great. Like that shit is crazy.
The aging narcissistic parent. What are they like? What are they like when their looks have faded, health not so good, and they've pissed everybody off, leaving just you? Well, I'll tell you, they're going to be worse. They're going to torture their children or anybody that's hanging around them. The game will be damned if you do and damned if you don't. Whatever you do, it will never be good enough. And if you step back and do nothing, you will be eaten alive by guilt, frustration, anger. And on top of that, you've got somewhere in your head saying, well, I should respect my elders, that they are my parents after all. There's all of that going on. They will play victim, so anybody that will listen, they will tell them what a no good son, daughter you are. They're going to get supply. Don't worry about that. They may not get supply from the people that have left their lives, but they will get supply from the Amazon delivery person. What time is this? They're care workers. Oh my God, care workers get it in the neck. Somebody that's looking after them will be abused in the worst possible way. Doctors are not exempt from their abuse. And if that wasn't bad enough, they don't listen. They will not listen. They will be a liability. They will put themselves in danger. They will not take their medicine because they know that's going to upset you. So the way to go with an aging narcissistic parent is to create some boundaries. You create boundaries. Tell them, I'm going to see you on such and such a day for this amount of time, so that you look after their welfare. Make sure that they're physically okay, but you're not engaging in any conversation and you are not providing supply. It's perfectly within your rights, if your parents have used you and abused you, that you go no contact. Spend your energy and your time on those that care about you and love you.
Narcissists are constantly trying to humble you, y'all. And this is one thing that so many people need to understand. If you're dealing with a narcissistic person that is extremely insecure and you might be conventionally attractive, they will try to bring you down a notch, right? They will try to take you down, knock you off of your pedestal because they think that you think that you're above everybody because of the way you look. So some narcissists will actually treat you bad because you're attractive, because you're conventionally attractive, right? Some of them will actually go out there and cheat on you because you're conventionally attractive. Or people have told them that people ask the narcissist, how did they get you? Like, how did you pull this one? How did you get that one? And inside the mind of a narcissist, they'll be like, how did I get them? Okay. You saying they're better than me. Okay, I got something for them. Let me cheat on them. Let me treat them badly. This is why a lot of times you see when I, like, as a diagnosed narcissist, I see articles and comments where people are just saying like, you're too pretty to get cheated on. That right there incites a narcissist to make them want to cheat on you more. Like, your looks will not protect you against narcissism, right? It just will not, right? So it just blows my mind when people say, like, you're too pretty to get cheated on. You're way too attractive. You have way too much to offer to get cheated on or treated bad. Y'all narcissists y'all, it's just a different mindset. It's a different breed. I'm telling you.
In addition to making me hyper independent, showing up and constantly having to rescue my mom made me really not want to help other people. Not in a way where it was just like, oh, well, I'm not doing nothing for nobody. But if people were leaning on me to do things that, you know, they could figure out on their own, it would instantly piss me off. Because why can't you figure it out when I had to? I always tell people having an emotionally immature mother really fucked with my patience with other people, because I did not want you to ask me for help. I did not want you to lean on me. And I also didn't feel comfortable with asking for help. I had to figure out why that was. Well, I didn't feel comfortable asking for help because there was never anybody who could show up to help me. I was born to be the help, the assistance, the oldest daughter, the one who could take everything over. So when it came time for me to ask for help, who was I supposed to ask? My emotionally immature mother? My younger siblings? Who? I never had anybody to lean on, and I had to figure it out on my own. So I found myself with that same attitude out in the world. When people would lean on me or try to weaponize incompetence with me, instantly I would just fly off the ziggity boom, okay? I would lose my shit. Because in my mind, in my heart, if I had to figure it out on my own as a child, if I had to figure it out on my own as a new employee, if I had to figure it out on my own, period, then you can do the same thing. Don't lean on me. It made me very hypersensitive to people leaning on me. I always looked at it like they were trying to use me. Now, them asking for help could have been super innocent, and I could have given the help. But there was a part of me that was just like, I am not letting another motherfucking person lean on me as heavily as my mother did. That was another one of them things. Like, I was hyper independent. I never asked anybody for anything. So I had an expectation that you try to figure it out on your own. And it just made me so much more harsh and so much more hard. Anytime I saw a person acting like they wanted to weaponize incompetence or weaponize their low emotional IQ, it would light a fire in me, okay? Almost to the point where it's like, damn, did you really have to respond to him like that? And I understand that comes from years of being my mother's cleanup man. I was constantly her FEMA. I had to constantly clean up after her.
So, there's a girl on here named Momo Peel, I believe. I'm going to tag her below. But she was saying that a lot of narcissistic parents let their kids experience abuse even though they've been through it. And that is 1000% true. And so, in my experience, I believe that's the reason why my mom put money on my child molester's books. And so, you know, hugging and crying and jumping down on him, and also, you know, ambushing me to go to his coming home party. And so during the time where I had my mental breakdown, probably 2 or 3 years ago, just dealing with that and stuff, and I just finally broke. And you know, she was just saying stuff like, yeah, you just too weak, and I ain't weak like you, and this, that, and the third. Which is, they ain't got nothing to do with shit, because that is something that's very traumatic. But with a lot of narcissistic parents, they want you to get raped, and they want you to get abused. But the difference is, and why they be so angry and mad, is because, you know, you didn't let that shit swallow you. And even when you do go through it and stuff like that, like, it don't beat you down. And they hate it.
Man, what's happening, y'all? Look, so this part 2, y'all make sure y'all go check out part 1 if y'all haven't already. So look, now I'm beginning to wake up, but I'm still not fully awake yet. I never ran across nothing about narcissism at this point. So I'm completely oblivious there's a such thing as narcissistic people out here. At this point, I was just doing a lot of self-reflecting. Even though I was 32 at this time, it made me anxious the thought of calling her and talking to her about my experiences in my childhood. Because anytime I expressed my emotions to her as a child, she would either get combative or dismissive. So something else that prompted me to want to confront her was because I was in a relationship at this time. Before bed, she was like, I have something to tell you about your mama. I'm like, what's up? She said, your mom was talking bad about you when you were going at the gym. Man, look, I wasn't even shocked. I just was like, oh yeah, what's up? So just for some context, her and my younger sister had flown up to see me for 2 weeks because I just had my son and I was in another state working. She then begins to tell me, your mom said you always quit and never finish anything, and told me I should take our son and leave you. I'm like, oh yeah? So I'm hot as fish grease, you hear me? And I'm confused because meanwhile she's downstairs in my house eating all my food that I'm cooking because I love to cook now and enjoying my hospitality. That also caused me to reflect even more because then it made me think of another ex-girlfriend that tried to tell me the same thing years before. And I didn't want to listen at that point in time in my life. I was in my 20s. So I'm thinking to myself, why does she always talk so negative about me? Meanwhile, I'm making 6 figures, taking care of myself and my responsibilities and my son. She didn't contribute to me becoming financially successful at all. That was all me. But I didn't confront her on what she told me. A couple weeks passed by and she's gone at this point. And every day, man, I get up and it'll be on my heart. It'll be on my mind. And I'll just be reflecting on my past experiences. But I also thought about how I was also so passive when it came to her. At this point in my life, man, I was very assertive and direct, but anxious when it came down to confront her. So I began to write her and express to her some of the trauma that she subjected me to. I expressed how I remember when she would force me to come with her to see my biological father, since she had managed to get pregnant with my sister for due 11 years later, despite him not ever being a father for me, and how she would let him physically abuse me and lock me up in a bedroom. I would only be allowed to come out the bedroom to eat, while they would just have sex all day. A very profound memory I told her was one night I went to tell her good night, and I didn't tell him nothing, right? So then I head back downstairs to go to sleep. Dude comes downstairs furious. Open hand smacks me like a grown-ass man, you hear me? Because I didn't tell him good night. It then smacks me 2 more times, and I felt as if I was about to pass out. So I screamed for her to help me. Of course, look, she never came downstairs to check on me. So I was anxious all night, terrified. Matter of fact, homie smacked me so hard to the point I couldn't even hear out my right ear. So look, the morning comes around. I could not wait to tell her so she could take me out of that situation or at least call the police. Ironically, that morning we all head to church. As soon as he gets out the car to go in the gas station, and I finally have a minute along with her, I jump from the back seat to the front seat, where she was in a panic, letting her know how terrified I was of dude, how he almost knocked me out last night. Man, look, she looked at me with the most devilish look in her eyes, you hear me? Pupils black, and scolded me, told me to sit my ass back, and that happened to me because you don't listen. Man, look, at 11, that hit a switch in me. Remember, I'm 32 years old at this point. This is my first time confronting her about it in this letter that I'm writing her. Stay tuned, you hear me?
I just want y'all to know that we can tell that y'all be pissing y'all parents off and then taking the phone out and recording their reaction and calling them narcissists. Because y'all be big and grown in their house. Pissing them off and making them mad so you can record it for TikTok likes. Stop doing that and get out their house. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of today's video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We can heal together. And if you want some positive, chill content, catch the live or the other videos because we be having a lot of good time, a lot of fun on the lives, okay? And then more positive, uplifting, motivational content coming. You guys are here on the ground floor of this YouTube journey. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.